Yo, 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 yo. What it is? What it is? We back. Hit that like button, man. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the cash app. Shoot the Nikki for the $6 cash app. Always coming through. Miss Nikki. Now she my elder. Appreciate it. 2800. We is back. What it is? Yeah, so we gotta continue the conversation that we was having yesterday, man. Yo, Diddy was sentenced for domestic violence, y'all. Like, yo, crazy as it may sound, we all thought that he beat those counts, but somehow, some way, they was able to still sentence him under those same charges. I ain't got no fucking life. Shit. Queen Supreme, what it is? Happy Saturday. You changed the name? Yo, Diddy got done dirty, y'all. Yo, the man beat the counts and still got sentenced for it. Yeah, I mean? Yo, the man beat the counts and still got sentenced for it, yo. He beat the domestic violence counts. The case, not even, it wasn't no domestic violence counts. Like, yo, he literally got sentenced for crimes that he wasn't even charged for. Like, yo, have we ever seen that done before? Can you imagine getting arrested for burglary and they sentence you for first degree assault? You feel me? Like, yo, that's basically what happened with Diddy, y'all. Diddy got arrested and charged with a RICO, sex trafficking, and got sentenced for domestic violence. He did, y'all. And I'm gonna go to what my girl go said, y'all, because that is what he did. He definitely acted like a 13th juror. He did. But that just show you he was compromised. He been compromised since the beginning. We've been saying that since the beginning. You're like, I don't trust this judge, man. Yo, remember I told y'all a while ago, like when it came down to my case and how, my case went through so many different judges' hands because it was so fucked up. It was so flawed. And it ended up landing in a new judge hands. You know, a judge that was a year on the bench or 2 years on the bench. Yo, that's what they do to them judges. That's what they did to Submarinian. Submarinian just got on the bench about 3 years ago. There's only one other judge. There's only one newer judge on the bench than Judge Submarinian in the Southern District of New York. They normally give those cases to them type of judges. You know what I mean? He was compromised, man. I think Diddy gonna get that shit back on the appeal. What's up, Edwin? Yo, hit that like button, y'all. Hit the like button, share the live. Let's get some people on here, man. I think they took me off for a punishment. Yo, but we also gotta talk about the Kyren Lacy situation too, y'all. I talked about that yesterday a little bit. Yo, what happened to that boy was egregious. Matter of fact, we're gonna talk about that shit first. We'll get to Diddy. Yeah, he got paid. Yo, it's obvious, yo. It's obvious, yo. The fact, and you know, the fix was in for a while. The fact that he didn't get no bail. Every motion that was filed by the defense team, got struck down. That man was compromised from the beginning, man. It's all right, though. Appeals court gonna take care of it. Diddy not doing no 2.5 years. Or no 2 years. I guarantee you that. Maybe another year. What the fuck wrong with my shit? Hold on, I'm putting the wrong code in. Maybe another year or so. 8 months, 9 months. But he ain't doing no 2 years. Yo, why the fuck my shit not working? Oh, cat locks is on. Oh yeah. No, he gonna get the 14 months. If I ain't mistaken, he gonna get the 14 months that he was promised. Yo, but I want to go through this Kyren Lacy situation, yo. Yo, because that was fucked up, yo. Did he really put false charges on this man, man? Did he really put false charges on this man? He ended up killing himself. Yo. Plummeted his draft stock.
This segment is brought to you by Terrebonne Ford. Built Ford tough.
So this is the lawyer right here.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Bayou Time. I'm Martin False, and if you recall, months ago, I had attorney Matt Ory on our program to talk about Kyren Lacy's involvement or non-involvement in a wreck that took place, which took the life of a very popular man, Mr. Hall, and it was well documented. It went national. It was talked about. It was written about. It was blogged about. It was all over the nation. So I did tell Mr. Ory back then, and I also tell everyone involved in this, whether you're an attorney or whether you're part of the investigation, you're always welcome to tell your story.
Yeah, you're right.
HTV. So I told Mr. Ory, if you have anything to add to the story at any point, please give me a holler and we'll get you on. So joining me now is Matt Ory, attorney, and good to see you, Matt. Thank you for coming.
Good to see you, Martin. Thank you for having me.
Did you compile anything new?
I've got everything. I've got every piece of evidence I have viewed. I've examined every piece of evidence, which includes all surveillance, all body cam footage, and most importantly, the investigative report that was generated and manufactured by the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office, according to the data that they obtained.
In that report, which is independent of you, when I was going through it and looking at some of these things in it, I think you'll probably go over where they were, because I see you brought a board where you're going to depict where all of them
y'all got to
were.
remember, yo, he killed himself right before he was scheduled to go to court. He killed himself, man. think his trial date or he had a court date like the next morning or 2 days later or something. They were trying to crucify this man, yo. He ain't need to do this shit.
During the incident, and you have all that information to sort of explain.
Yo, make sure we clear, yo. If we not clear, say something, please. Do not allow us to not be clear and don't say nothing.
How fast they were going, what they were doing, all of that.
I do. I've got it all here.
Okay. Is most of this reports, or do you have actual video?
At the entirety of the district attorney's findings, their findings after their own investigation. That's what we're here today to present. We're going to compare and contrast those findings with the findings of the state police, because there's a ton of confusion. People seem to believe that somehow he hit someone in this accident, or possibly even shot through two cars and there was this explosion behind him. I've heard every version possible, but we can show you the version right now.
Okay. Sort of describe the video for our audience, what you've seen in the video.
Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
Yo, that is
so
crazy, yo. That is fucking insane, yo. Like, I can see if he was actually involved in the accident. Yo, this guy wasn't even involved in the accident at all. Yo, they need to do something about some of these motherfucking justice systems. For real. Louisiana, Florida. Like, yo, these systems, yo, is corrupt as can be, man. That's why I don't respect them. That's why you will never hear me praising jail or none of that. I don't look at the type. This is what goes on, y'all. For the jail praisers. You know what I mean? For the Charleston White supporters. Yo, this is what goes on in this fucking system. And it happens statewide. Every state. They all fucked up. They need to revamp the whole fucking system, man. They lock you up for influence. Put false charges on you. It's a dirty system, yo. It's predatory. It's predatory. Whoever this guy died that was prominent, in order for it to gain the steam that they wanted for it to gain, shit, we'll blame Kyren Lacy for it. You feel me? Dirty system. Predatory system. But motherfuckers be praising these people. Talking about we need more police. You know, we need to be in jail. Man, not until they fix this shit.
The impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards.
Then the whole football field away.
At the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles.
Hey, MCK, shut your bitch ass up. Are you not seeing what's going on? This man was arrested unjustly. What could he have done different? He was riding down the street, minding his fucking business. They put false charges on him. Yo, y'all don't want me to, you gonna make me get on your ass, y'all. You gonna make me start doing white on white crime videos again. YouTube just took me out the basement. Yo, there's nothing he could have done. He couldn't have done anything different. He rolled past. What he would have got out and offered aid? You know what I mean? Maybe he could have done that, but he ain't do shit to deserve the media scrutiny. He didn't do shit to deserve these charges. This man killed himself behind this shit, man. Plummeted his draft. He was a fucking first round draft pick. Plummeted his whole stock. Fuck is you talking about, man? You want to start talking about black or white on white crime? I got a lot of videos. Dumbass. Come on here talking fucking stupid. I ain't one of them other guys.
Not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back? I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper?
FCK, what the fuck you need to worry about is radicalization, bitch. That's the fuck you need to worry about. Keep worrying about the fuck black people got going on. Worry about radicalization. Worry about the motherfucking people don't know how to raise their motherfucking kids, man. Kids being radicalized under their roof. Fuck boy. Where the fuck your kids at? They probably somewhere fucking being radicalized right now. Your dumb ass online talking stupid. That's the fuck you need to worry about. It's a parenting issue going on in the white community. Fuck boy.
Lane?
Sure, he was back in his
Innovative,
proper
what it
lane
is.
according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that investigation, it shows that he was back in his correct lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Before this incident occurred, he was back in his lane.
What is the legal law state about where you should be behind, or I want to say I thought it was 100 feet. Is that correct?
It is correct. You know, take out the fact here that it's a no passing zone. If it weren't
That
at this
fucking light
time,
fucking up the line.
it's 100 feet. What we know now is he was 3 times legally what he needed to be back in his lane of traffic.
Where was everybody involved in this? And I see you brought something that you could visibly show everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like I stated, if we're looking at this,
Hold on, I'm ready to go downstairs so we can see this shit clearly. I don't like how that glare keep going. Hey, come on in the house. You said it's the first time the first trial dude didn't make sense to me. Yo, they did that man dirty, man. Intentionally. We're gonna see a video where the police try to coerce the witnesses to say yo did it. They coerce the witnesses to say yo did it, yo, but this is not a one-off situation, yo. This is what goes on. And people can like to ignore it and act like it's not true. Yo, but this shit real, man. This is what the fuck they do, yo. That's why I don't respect it. I never praise the system, yo. Ever. Under no circumstances. Like, well, depends. You know what I mean? You talking about child molestation and rape and shit like that. But people still deserve a fair trial. You know what I mean? Regardless of, that's what this country said. This country, that was one of the promises that they made. That's in the Constitution. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers ain't upholding the fucking rules that they created. They created these rules and they not upholding them. Now, his family can sue. Yeah, but what the fuck is that? Yeah, man, they lost the motherfucking pride of the star of the family. That shit sent that man. That situation sent that boy to a whole downward spiral, man. Sent him to a whole downward spiral. All that boy did was want to play football. Put his city on. I think he from there. You know what I mean? Oh, from Louisiana. And they fucked him over. So it's our own hometown. That's typically how it goes. They don't really like symbolic figures in the neighborhood, man. You feel me? I don't know if y'all noticed that, yo, but they don't like, if you somebody that made it out, they want you to stay out. They don't want you there to serve as a motherfucking example of you can do it too. No, they don't want that. They want you out of there.
of course, this isn't to scale, and I can't draw, but what you see here is vehicle 3. That is Mr. Hall's vehicle. This is another vehicle between Mr. Lacy and Mr. Hall.
Okay.
This is the gold truck that's referenced in the report. This is heading north. So this is the lead vehicle heading north. And the vehicle that actually collided with Mr. Hall's vehicle, that would be vehicle 2. All right. So through the course of this now, we start investigating and dissecting everything we possibly can. When we do that, we start with vehicle 2, right? So what do I know now about vehicle 2? Vehicle 2 was tailgating, all right? According to the data, again, of the district attorney's office, not me, according to their data, tailgating at 49.6 miles an hour, 0.5 seconds behind the gold truck, 1.5 seconds before the crash. So again, if that didn't make sense, she is following 0.5 seconds behind this vehicle, 0.5 seconds behind that vehicle, 1.5 seconds before the crash at over 49 miles an hour. 0.5. That's what happens when you tailgate. Now, interestingly enough, this vehicle was actually, when this woman was in the ambulance, they issued her a ticket. All right? You know for what? Take a wild guess. Following too close. They even told her it's in your personal belongings. Fast forward. Another trooper comes and is looking for that particular ticket. And that ticket, they told her, something may happen to the ticket, don't worry about it. Dang. Sure enough, something happened to that ticket down the road, right? The ticket now needs to fit a better narrative. And that ticket now says, crossing left of center. Why? Why? The black box is telling me. The data from the district attorney's office tells me you're traveling 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour. 1.5 seconds before the accident.
That's not enough time to stop.
That's not tailgating? Now,
that's not enough time to stop.
This isn't speculation. Through this, we hear there's story after story. Actually, vehicle 2's story got bigger until we now have their data, right? So when we get our hands on it, I'm looking at the data from that particular vehicle. That data in that vehicle shows me 5 seconds previous to this crash. 5. I'm looking at it, and you're going to show it. 5 seconds previous to this crash, she maintained a speed of 49.6 miles an hour, never activating the EBS system until 0.5 seconds before the crash. Why is that important? Because if your story, which we'll get into, keeps getting bigger and bigger, and you had all this time to see the gold truck, in her words, stomp on their brakes, slam on their brakes, come to a stop, veer off the road. I see another vehicle approaching. I see the Charger approaching. Well, my question to you now becomes, how did you see that vehicle approaching, or him stop, or him slam on his brakes, yet your data says you never touched your brake prior to 0.5 seconds before that crash? I'm looking right now, so are you, at the last 5 seconds according to her. Her car's black box, not mine. Not my expert.
I know Carl had a motherfucking black box.
So if you're going to tell me a 5 to 10 second elaborate story, it needs to make sense. And when you have the data, not only doesn't it add up, it's not possible. Notice on there, Martin, it says 75 degrees, right? You turn 75 degrees to the left all of a sudden. That's what happens when you tailgate. Now, interestingly enough, this vehicle was actually, when this woman was in the ambulance, they issued her a ticket, all right? You know for what? Take a wild guess. Following too close. Data from the district attorney's office tells me you're traveling 0.5 seconds, 49.6 miles an hour, 1.5 seconds. It's not following too close? Of course. Ticket was taken away.
I'm looking at the data, and I'm learning some new things here. So the steering input,
that's correct.
Any indicator, I would guess 75 on a scale of 100. That's a pretty hard turn to the left.
It's a very hard turn to the left. The gold truck, the lead vehicle in oncoming traffic, who, by the way, is probably one of the 2 most important.
Yo, make sure we clear. If we not clear, say something, please. Don't have not being clear and don't say nothing.
Witnesses in this entire case. We 2.99 seconds prior to him pulling off the road, he was traveling 28 miles an hour. 28 miles an hour. Now, you're going to hear his statement in a little while, and it's going to all make sense. But let's be very clear right now for the intent and purposes of what we're doing. There are two vehicles that we're talking about right now that are traveling north. The second vehicle in oncoming traffic is vehicle 2. Their data says she is tailgating. She is 0.5 seconds at 49.6 miles an hour. 1.5 seconds before the crash. And you saw her data, 50.3 to 49.6.
Yeah, so she stayed at 49.6 until 0.5 seconds, and then
There's a variation of less than a mile per hour.
yeah,
It's 0.7, I believe.
right. Did she give any police report?
Thank you, y'all. Appreciate it, 2800. You good now? Y'all know how YouTube like to fuck up the lives.
Oh, absolutely. So,
Let's talk about that a little.
yeah, we will. This particular
Thank you,
individual, and for purposes of this report, I'd like you, Morton, this is page 9. If you could follow, I'm not misquoting a single thing.
All right.
All right, I'm looking at the investigative report of the district attorney's office.
Mm-hmm.
And then here you can see this is their investigator looking at vehicle 2 statements, and now he's analyzing. He says, upon reviewing the body cam video of the trooper from the scene, the following statement was made by, we'll call her vehicle 2, right? I just know the truck was stomping on brakes. The other was trying to pass the other car. I was trying to dodge by not hitting him, by coming around. When the trooper asked how fast she was going, she replied the speed limit. He next says, I reviewed the written statement from vehicle 2 while she was in the hospital on January 3rd, 2025. Below is a synopsis of that interview. And at very first it says, all I can see is that a car is coming this way and the car in front of me. Right before the crash. I'm looking at the pickup truck in front of me. That's all they see for the moment.
Yeah, they should have did a better job of editing this. They supposed to have the video playing while he was explaining this, so we can keep up with what the fuck he's saying and, you know, depicting it.
I'm eating my Funyuns. I got in the middle of my lap. And I'm listening to my music. All of a sudden, I see the car get in the other person's lane. The truck, in quotes, steps on his brakes. First, so it slows down, but then he does it again, and this time it's really hard. That's when you can see on the other side the car is trying to get back over. But before he can get over, the truck stops in the middle, like on the brakes, hard. There's another car that runs damn near into the pole. It's either I run into him or I try to get out the way, so I'm trying to get to the dollar store parking lot. Then the other comes and slams into me. The trooper asked vehicle 2, whenever you're looking forward, or the car's in front of you, they swerve off to the right before you make your left, or are you looking at a green Charger coming at you? Or, in end of quotes. Vehicle 2 responded with, the green Charger came, and then the car behind me, behind them, the truck, the van, whatever. The trooper does not ask any further follow-up questions to get a better understanding of what she was saying for this answer. Now remember, I'm reading what the investigator's saying. When vehicle 2 states the truck stops in the middle of the road like on the brakes hard, this statement indicates that the gold truck stopped in the middle of the lane.
No, it don't make sense.
And not, in quotes, swerving off to the right. This would also show that vehicle 2 would have steered to the left to avoid contact with the gold truck and not Kyren Lacy. During this interview with the trooper, vehicle 2 made several statements that do not match the submitted report or written statement. Instead of questioning vehicle 2 for more details, the trooper attempted to recap what she was saying, which seems to contradict her statements. While doing this, the trooper is the first to talk about the gold truck swerving off to the right. Then when it came to obtaining the written statement, the trooper tells vehicle 2 what to document on the statement as she is writing.
Damn.
I have two questions here.
Coercion?
One, I'd like to know more
What I be telling y'all, see, y'all be thinking I be joking. Yo, how many times have I told y'all, yo, these people coerce witnesses, man? They will make up statements. They will make up witnesses. I've been saying this shit, and I've been telling y'all this for the longest time, and people be arguing with me like I don't be knowing what I'm talking about. And this is coming from a person that caught time off of a coerced witness. You understand? That's why I know what I'm talking about. I caught time behind some coercion. You know what I mean? A motherfucker pleading guilty and saying he did something that he wouldn't know what. You understand what I'm saying? So I know how this system works. I've been saying the ugly side of it. Like, yo, if they want you, they're going to get you. And they're going to do whatever they got to do to get you. It don't matter if they lie, fabricate evidence, cahoots, witnesses. Like that's how the system works, man. It's a dirty system, yo. It's a dirty system.
that she made to the trooper. The other one would be, do we have any data on the gold truck?
2.99 seconds before the gold truck eases off to the road. Eases off of the road.
Right.
He's traveling at 28 miles an hour.
Right.
That all is in this report.
Yeah, that's my question.
You watch someone slam on their brakes. You watch them stop. You watched a car charge coming at you in your lane of traffic, but you never thought to just tap the brakes? Really? Data is accurate. The black box is accurate that says that you never touch your brakes the last 5 seconds until 0.5 seconds before the impact. That's their data. It's not mine.
Proceed. What did you find out after that?
So what I was curious about here, most importantly to me, in terms of the oncoming traffic, right? So I'm looking at that gold truck. I want to know what they said, when they said it, what were the circumstances, how did this come about? And this is where it really starts tying together, right? The gold truck, they end up getting a statement from this individual. There's two of them. The very first one, what I noticed on the body cam was that the conversation was going on for 4 minutes and approximately 30 seconds prior to the body cam being activated. And of course, when the body cam's activated, I don't know what you said those previous 4.5 minutes, they end up at this individual's house to obtain a statement. I want to play right now how that statement started.
Okay. Let's roll that in.
Hi, sir. So, look, don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, your address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
It's Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, me and my wife gonna fill that right.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
Damn.
That's what I wasn't even going for. That lady in the back of me, she ain't so it had me. That's how she called direct.
More coercion. Just say, fuck is you tell him what to say for? If he's a witness, he's gonna say what he's saying. You don't need no explanation of what to say because you wasn't there for him to say what he's saying. He gotta say what he's saying his goddamn self.
What you saw, just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
It's Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, me and my wife gonna fill that right.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
Excuse my that's what I wasn't even going for. That lady in the back of me, she ain't so it had me. That's how she called direct. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And I didn't.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slam on your brake, head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here.
In that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
Wow.
But then you hear
that's crazy.
Gold
man.
Truck, the witness who's the Gold Truck, what he says.
What's
and
up,
he says
Davon?
verbatim.
Excuse my that's what I wasn't even going for. That lady in the back of me, she ain't so it had me. That's how she called direct. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And I didn't.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me, and she pulled into the other side. The actual written statement.
That's crazy, man. I ain't surprised though.
And this is from the gold truck.
This is the gold truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is gold truck number one in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is and he's telling you, I wasn't traveling fast. We know now that he wasn't. The data shows 2.99 seconds before that he was traveling 28 miles an hour. The data shows that. Now he corroborates that. And he goes on to say, I didn't even make a skid mark. That woman behind me, she caused that accident. And you give me this that is refused. I got a problem.
Damn.
I got a problem with that.
That's crazy.
What he's saying is she had to avoid hitting him. He specifically stated she caused the accident. But I've got an affidavit for arrest warrant right here. Nowhere in here does it say anything that you guys just saw on body cam. To the contrary, about that vehicle, it says the gold truck took evasive action by emergency braking and driving off the roadway to avoid a head-on crash. But you just heard he said, I wasn't even going fast. I didn't skid mark. So what emergency braking are we referring to here? And what the hell was the point of this report? It is complete opposite. I would expect that you'll show this to where they can read what was said versus what was written just minutes earlier.
And just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, like, you know, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and brakes locked up to avoid charges.
That's what I was doing. Okay. In the back of me. That record, she was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side. And I didn't.
So, but the charger was
Man,
coming
where
right
you
in.
been
Right?
at,
That's
man?
why you had to slam on your brake, head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that. That's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here. Okay.
By the way, for obtaining this statement,
So dirty, man.
remember, Kyren Pass that's in this package actually says in his statement that the charger passed through the vehicle of Mr. Hall and the gold truck and vehicle 2, and then they collided.
Wow.
I can't make this up. This
Dang.
is how. This is what people just don't get to see. And again, I'm not saying this intentional. I'm saying people commit to a story and they don't back.
I'm saying it's intentional. You gotta say it. Because this is what they do, yo. You know, that's why you can't really listen to these lawyers. You know, like they got a lot of lawyers online, but they, for the most part, lawyer talk. I'm gonna tell you.
Incredible, right? That one individual. One of the 4 individuals. But what's really interesting to me as well is
We back clear. We wasn't blurry long, wasn't we? I'm sure we was because people leaving.
passenger in Kyren Lacy's car. They knew this. They have video footage of this individual getting out of the car. Why didn't you ascertain his identity? Why would you not want to hear the person with one of the best views of this incident? Why would you make a call? Why would you simply not bring him in for questioning?
And I'm sure you talked to him after.
Of course. Time they collided with the. That's the very first thing they told me, that they thought that this vehicle 2, was trying to get around the 2, as in slide between them, as in, uh-oh. You know, so you can see why. It's just amazing now what I know, and there's so much more. We've spent hours and hours and hours scouring. But I don't know how else to tell anybody else that this is not mine. I didn't generate this. I didn't manipulate this. I didn't alter it. I didn't manufacture it. I received it from the district attorney's office. I then did my job, and I compare it to the report. in the investigation of state police, and it is drastic. It's drastic. The very last line of the report from District Attorney's Office says, the evidence submitted in the crash report does not support that Kyren Lacy should have known that his actions were the cause of the crash that happened approximately 72 yards in front of him. And what we know is we never disputed ever that he passed those vehicles. They were in a row, 4 vehicles in a row. We know they were going 30 to 35 miles an hour. He passed them. It was a no passing zone, but he got back in 92.3 yards. He was back in his lane of travel. He was 72 yards behind at the time of impact. We know that now. He was actually the second car to pull up behind, not even the first. At no point in time did he have to slam his brakes. He wasn't even close to the second car.
He wasn't even close
just
to the accident.
eased in. He eased in. He went straight from there to the facility in Shreveport for his football practice. But he had no idea he caused this accident because he didn't think he caused the accident. He didn't cause the accident.
When did you get knowledge of it? When did you first get on the case itself? When were you notified?
Weeks after. Remember, from the time of this investigation to when a warrant was executed, they were weeks apart, right? And then I get involved after that. By the time I get involved, he's already charged with this. So that's a circumstance that I inherit.
Right.
But, you know, you hear things, you keep your eyes open, you keep your ears open, and you listen, and something wasn't passing the litmus test here. So, you know, when you look back on this and you see actual data, it's not mine, that shows these types of things, and you go as far as a witness saying he split between 2 vehicles and then there was the spontaneous combustion, it truly should open some eyes, right? That is not even close to what happened.
Oh, shit.
As you started your discussion with
No, he didn't, man.
Kyren Lacy, and look, once
Talking
again,
about
we'll
Blue the
talk
Light,
about
Jane Dale?
Mr. Hall later in the program.
Mr.
because
Blue the Light?
We're not avoiding talking about a veteran, but I want to stay on point here just for a second. When you're talking to Kyren Lacy and he's saying, Matt, I wasn't involved in this. What was his mindset like at the time?
It's horrible. Look, man, you got a young kid
That shit fucked up his life.
that's getting assassinated on public media, social media. He begged me to help him. I was already helping, but it was a consistent deal, obviously, meaning far after representation, begging me to help him. And you move as fast as you can with what you have, right? But there was a defining point for me in this whole situation that I knew he wasn't joking. And he referenced things in football fields. And I know it's easy to look back and say, oh, I bet he never said that. He's deceased now. BS. I'm telling you now what he told me. He said I was a football field. A football field is how he compared things, right? So he's saying when he got back in his lane of traffic, I know I was a football or even a little over a football field over by the time I'm back in my lane. And when I told him that they had video surveillance of this whole thing, it was like he was relieved for a second. Because I think in his mind, he thought that which most did. Most people that I talk to think that he actually hit the vehicle or he barely got past him and then they collided. That was the narrative that I heard the most.
That was the narrative.
So in his mind, at least he's looking at this going, okay, somebody can show I was actually watched this accident. I saw it. And he told me there was a car between them. Hell, after I read everything prior to meeting with him and the things that I heard, I'm questioning what's going on here. Did he just get through and take off like they suggested? You and I read reports earlier. We're looking at old news reports where they say he actually collided with a vehicle.
They did.
They actually said he fled a scene. They actually said he came back to the scene. Do you know how preposterous that is?
I remember them stories.
None of that's true. And he sure as hell never split the difference and barely got through, and then there was some big explosion. That's not what happened. Kyren Lacy passed 4 vehicles. There's no question, in a row. Nobody ever disputed that. But it's now undisputed that he got back in 92.3 yards. Now, interestingly enough, the report indicates that at 120.4 yards, he was already entering back into the lane. right? The reason they reference that is they say in this report, the district attorney's office, their investigation yielded that at that time, Kyren and vehicle number 2, all right, 1.5 seconds before the accident or 120.4 yards apart.
So it said 120.4 yards, not feet.
All this is yards.
Yards.
This is not feet.
It's a big difference.
The only footage we have discussed, you and I today, is what's legally required when you pass a vehicle.
100 feet.
You have to be back in your lane of traffic 100 feet. He was over 300 feet. I'll be the first to admit that particular law does not say when you're in a no passing zone. Be clear. He passed 4 vehicles in a no passing zone. Never been disputed. Not once.
Yeah, but that
Did
don't
I
mean he
ever
caused a
dispute
motherfucking
that or
accident.
anybody else. But the big narrative spun was, and this is very important, that he was actively passing at the time of this accident. That is extremely important. We know now that is 100% false. In the conclusion of the district attorney's report,
What page you on? I'm going to follow it.
this is on page 12.
Yeah, let me get the 12 here. Okay, go ahead.
They state in here that they gave the impression that Kyren Lacy was actively passing vehicles when the crash occurred, which is incorrect. He did pass 4 vehicles, but was back in the southbound lane before the crash occurred. And now we know, according to this data, that was 72.6 yards as it's stated in this report.
I think at one point while we were talking, you indicated to me that Kyren was very close to being vindicated on this matter. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in my opinion, I had a very good idea of enough started adding up to me to know that there were holes all over this thing, right? So it's the policy of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office that all homicides go to a grand jury. We were nearing that grand jury, right? Where all of this was coming out.
He wasn't even indicted.
Everything I'm telling you now is going to be presented to a grand jury in a fair, neutral, and impartial manner. So, in my opinion, this never survives a grand jury.
Yeah.
Never, ever survives a grand jury. We were 48 hours from that, from this report getting to the grand jury, right? So
I mean, that's not necessarily true.
it is the
You know.
process. They moved it as quickly as they could, and by that I just mean, it was done just like, which is the right thing to do, like every other case. It was done fair and square where, look, we have a homicide. We have to go through this process. The only promise that Ms. Russell made to myself and
He keeps saying it was fair and square because he got to work there. Ain't nothing fair and square about that shit. Shit's ugly and dirty. Ain't nothing fair and square about none of that shit to be going on in this system.
counsel for Mr. Hall was that she would complete the investigation and immediately set it for grand jury out of fairness to both. And she did that. She did exactly what she promised she would do. Insofar as an investigation, we had no idea what a result would be on her end. No clue. Mm-hmm. We just knew it was being done. They didn't sit on it for some amount of time. They worked it thoroughly, but in the time manner that they could, and they set it for grand jury just like they promised. So we couldn't have asked for more from a office who has always been and will always be just extremely fair. Right? I mean, that's all you can ask for. There's no fault on their part. There's certainly no fault whatsoever on the part of Mr. Hall. That's a wonderful family. Believe me, it's not easy for me to get up here right now. There's a man who passed away other than Kyren Lacy, and his life was just as important as Kyren Lacy.
And that was one thing I regretted, and I would tell the family
He
that
probably was.
I didn't spend enough time talking about Mr. Hall. He's deceased, and just
That's true.
paying our respects to their family too, because they're grieving, and naturally they're going through a lot of turmoil too. But of course, I guess what we're looking for on this show is, and I think everyone would want it. I don't care which side you're on. You just want the truth.
I just want the accurate truth, right? What one thing, and I hate to, in fact, I'm not going to harp on it again, but you're right. That's all we're after here is a better picture of the truth. That's it. Never what do you get me up here to try and put a black eye on state police. Look, man, these guys got a tough job. Tough job. There's some excellent, wonderful individuals, more than I can ever imagine,
hold on.
actually.
We ain't ready to do that. That motherfucker's dirty, nigga. Trying to save face.
Front end. Let me just say this. Kyren Lacy went to Houston that Friday with his mind mate. He was suffering. There was a point in time that night at his apartment, the apartment that he, his little brother, and his cousin were in. His mind was made. He wanted the keys to that vehicle to, I don't know how to say this, to
Take his life.
yeah. So, it's either you give me my keys and I do this on my own accord, or this is going to go down right here, right now. Obviously, the keys were given. A welfare call was made. Keyword, welfare. Welfare check. Right? There was no crime. There's none of that, man.
See, that was another
No
lie
drugs,
too.
none of that.
And that's not the narrative that was spent about that situation. Like, yo, media vicious, man. Yo, that is not the narrative that was spent. The narrative that was spent that he threatened the family, he got into it with a domestic dispute, threatened the family member, and killed himself. I think he said he even took police on the chase or some shit like that.
Yes. Kid's mind was made. You know the rest of the story.
So he told whomever he was with
Yeah, but they ain't gonna do none of that.
that was the place and time. Wasn't there a shot fired or something?
That's how he got his keys. I think that's how you're showing him. And by the way, the shot was fired in the ground on purpose to let them know the seriousness of what was going on in his head.
So he wanted their attention.
He wanted his keys.
Well, his keys.
And they knew not to give him his keys. They knew what was going to happen. But what are you going to do? You going to watch it go down, or are you going to give him his keys?
Right.
His mind was made. Social media killed him.
Damn.
Killed him. All those tough guys behind the computer.
Yep.
Same ones that would come after me when I do this interview.
Y'all be telling y'all, yo. That's why y'all be telling niggas, man. Yo, motherfuckers don't be trying to hold these. Yo, these blogs are vicious, man. Look what they did to Diddy. Yo, like, these blogs are vicious. Yo, they don't have no remorse. They don't carry themselves with no integrity. I told y'all about the situation that they did to the who they did that to. I told y'all about Ratchet TV. Remember what Ratchet TV did to the girl, the club promoter girl, that he tried to accuse of setting up Julio Fulio. Talked about the other situation in the Lord Scone death. You got Trenches News doing video after video after video, blaming this low ass girl. Man, you set him up. You set him up. Like, yo, what the fuck? Like, yo, you don't do that shit to people, man. Yo, you can get people killed, man. Yo, but these blogs don't give a fuck because all they want to do is monetize. And a lot of them motherfuckers, they ain't even really got no real connection to the code. They really clowns, to be honest. A lot of these blogs, your favorite blogs, them niggas is clowns. They didn't have no fucking voice in the world until they opened up a computer and started speaking on other people's situations and brought an entertainment factor to it. But before that, man, you would walk past the motherfuckers around, you wouldn't even know they existed. So I call it Revenge of the Nerds. I think that's what we're saying. This is Revenge of the Nerds that's happening on this internet. It's people like Poetic Flacco and Seti Nash and the rest of them fuckboys that ain't never had a voice. Now all of a sudden they got a voice and they misusing it. They're abusing it. They're abusing their power because they never had power. One of the worst things you can do, look at Charleston White. One of the worst things you can do is give a person power that never had it. It's one of the worst things you can do. What's up, Dex? My Pan-African brother. Got my Pan-African brother here.
Those guys.
A young man
Yo,
could not get you.
it ain't about defending Diddy, yo. My beef is with the system. My beef was always with the system. It's the system. Yo, you don't praise the dirty system. Yo, what they did to Diddy was wrong, man. It was wrong. Whether he was guilty or not. Yo, the media manipulation, the lies that was told, the false evidence that was presented, the sneaky ways that they the sneaky tactics that they used to get evidence was dirty, bro. It was dirty. And they don't do that shit to everybody. Seems like they only do that shit to black people. Maybe brown, but I can't speak for them. I can only speak for what the fuck goes on in the black community, because that's what I know. I don't see him doing it to nobody else. Diddy case was very similar to the Abercrombie and Fitch dude case. Why is that case so different? Why was the Abercrombie and Fitch dude allowed to get out on bond, $10 million, when Diddy offered $50 million and they ain't let him out? And we look at the details of the case, of just the case, yo, the shit that Cho did was crazy. Yeah, we covered the Abercrombie and Fitch case. Yo, the shit that Cho did was crazy. Preyed on straight men, particularly. And allured them with an opportunity of being a model and modeling for Abercrombie and Fitch. Meanwhile, he was tricking these guys into sex parties. But he get favor from the system because he's 81. Well, what I would say is they knew he was 81 when they locked his ass up. You ain't just find out he was 81. You feel me? You ain't find out he was 81 when you was doing this investigation. If you did a thorough investigation, you should have known he had dementia. So why is it now he getting a pass because, oh, he got dementia, he 81. Man, I'm not trying to hear none of that shit. Yo, he wasn't charged with domestic violence, bro. That was the issue. He wasn't charged with domestic violence, but he got sentenced for domestic violence. Make that make sense. Is that how the system's supposed to run? Imagine getting charged with first-degree assault and they sentence you for rape. That's what they did to Diddy, man. Diddy got charged for a RICO, sex trafficking, beat those counts, and got sentenced for domestic violence. That's what he got sentenced for, and I'm going to show you, because the judge talked about it.
Used to.
They're kids,
Yeah, Bill
man.
Cosby
The difference
was
between
eight,
you and I
and
more than
blind.
them, they don't know anything else other than those devices.
Right.
You especially. I'm a little bit younger, but even myself, that's a later deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they know. They can't get away from them. And they believe what these people say. They believe it. It doesn't matter what I showed you today. There are going to be people that are going to talk horribly about him, horribly about me. Life is such, but I have a job to do. No matter who is in the way of that. You have to do what you have to do. Whatever consequences come my way from this, so be it.
And I'm hearing you loud and clear. He, in his own mind, and I'm speculating, he was already prosecuted in his own mind.
That's how they always do.
He's already prosecuted.
That's how they always do. And we let him get away with that shit.
And we can only
That's why I
imagine
be so. I don't even want to watch this shit anymore. It's pissing me off. That's why I be so pissed off with people. Yo, we allow. Yo, how many black people was calling for? Yo, Diddy was molesting kid. Yo, we got our own media platforms now. Why the fuck do we allow them to control the narrative? We allow them to prosecute us maliciously, unjustly, and instead of us fighting against it, we fucking support the shit. We run with the same mainstream. That's why I was against these tales and the shit she was doing and the rest of the people that was doing, because everything I was reading was saying, yo, this case with Diddy is crazy. Like, I don't even understand how the fuck they getting away with this shit. Like, what the fuck is you reading? That's why I keep telling y'all, man. Mark Gargos Diddy. Hold on. That's Mark Agnifilo. My bad. Mark Agnifilo Diddy courtroom. That's not it. Mark Agnifilo. That shit gotta be on YouTube. I felt my computer not charging up. I'll pull it up on Instagram. Yo, my beef is against the system, y'all. I don't praise this system. Yo, this system dirty, bro. It's a dirty ass system, yo. They lie on you, man. Come on, man. That's my kid. I got kids, bro. I'm an active father, unlike Umar Johnson. You know what I mean? Unlike your man Umar, I'm an active father. Y'all. I work out with my son sometimes. Sometimes this is what's left on the bench when he's done. You feel me? Fuck out of here, Dex, so I get on your ass. You support Umar Johnson. A fuck boy. He's probably FBI agent. I think he's working with FBI. I want to see this whole interview. Hold up. Diddy legal team speaks. Hit that like button, y'all. That shit fucking 8 hours. God damn. Maybe they spoke on this. Associated Press. My bad, y'all.
Her possibly getting urinated on. Mama! How'd you feel? My mom! I miss my mom. This is the judge.
On this.
Yeah, I mean, both sides are really doing everything they can to win or have a success here. They have the defense team has spared no expense or time in sort of putting together all the materials in connection with sentencing. The government is also sort of putting all of their resources to this. Ultimately, it rests in the hands of the judge. I mean, this is one of the hardest things for judges to do. You'll hear that if you talk to any federal judge, they will say sentencings are always the hardest. But the judge has a lot of information.
The fuck is the video at? I think Diddy gonna get his time back on the appeal. Look at this lying bitch right here.
Months is what the sentence
Her fucking lying ass. She a piece of shit.
was. I think the judge was very thoughtful. He didn't do the 11 years that the prosecutor wanted, and nor did he do the 14 months that the defense wanted. So Mr. Combs will be in prison for a while. He basically had a lot of good things to say, the judge did, about Mr. Combs and his contribution to the community over many years and to racial justice. But on the other hand,
such a dumb ass, lying ass. She ain't never told the truth in her life. Nah, bitch. Yo, what the fuck? Trying to find when his lawyer spoke. It gotta be a whole video. It's only a minute long.
Very bad day. There is a human being now in custody for 50 months.
Diddy was just sharing.
Based upon conduct that a jury heard, the jury resolved, and the jury rejected. It is really a sad day for everybody.
I don't feel that
Appreciate
way.
We are planning to appeal. We think we have strong bases to appeal. The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion, and I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that that is unconstitutional.
Yeah,
we
yo,
think
tell
that
yo.
a jury verdict.
Yo, Diddy got sentenced for domestic violence, yo. Like, I can't believe people is accepting this shit. Yeah, I think the 4 years was safe. That was a safe pick. You know, it might have saved his ass. Because 5 years would have been egregious. I was thinking more along the lines of 3 years. Time served would have been ideal, but I was thinking 3 years maximum. Judge went 4. But yo, he got sentenced for domestic violence, man. Wait till you hear what the judge said.
Should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean, and so we are planning to appeal. We think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking, there was no racketeering, everything was consensual, everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
Very bad day.
I want to find that whole video, man. Where the fuck is it at? Maybe they got it. Iowa. Local news. We gotta go to Iowa to get the whole video. Gotta be a whole video to it. Daily routine speaks after verdict. Hold on. There you go.
Out of New York City, we are hearing Diddy's attorneys speaking to the media after he was sentenced earlier today. This is live.
Yeah, we are planning to appeal. I want to hear them, bro. We are planning to appeal. We think we have strong bases to appeal. The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion, and I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that that is unconstitutional. We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean, and so we are planning to appeal.
Absolutely. Files a cross appeal. What would happen in that regard if they filed a cross appeal and then Sean Diddy Combs get a higher sentence?
He would not get a higher sentence, and they're not gonna cross appeal. We're gonna appeal. We think we're right, and they'll respond to the appeal, and it'll be decided by the Second Circuit as soon as.
Tell us about the conversation you had with your client after the sentencing.
Consensual. The judge clearly thought the sexual encounters weren't consensual.
What
did you make of his remarks?
He compromised.
I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict.
Compromise.
I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking. There was no racketeering. Everything was consensual. Everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
Well, at least the judge was open-minded. At least the judge was open-minded for both sides. Gave consideration.
Did you have a chance to talk to Sean Combs? Did you have a chance to talk to your client? Can you tell us about the conversation after the sentence here?
How was he?
How's your client?
How was he?
Impact sex workers.
But he's okay. But he's okay.
Come on, man.
Stop pushing people, y'all. Space out. He does feel justice was served, though. He said he takes accountability, and I felt like Diddy definitely took accountability for everything, sir. And I would like to just let you know that everything was not consensual, sir. Please don't say that. It was not consensual. Even Diddy admitted
It was consensual.
yes, but he did allegedly.
All right, Queen. Can you talk to us about talking to Sean after this?
I'm not. Obviously, we spoke to Sean. I'm not going to talk about what Sean and we discussed. It's a privilege.
We all feel comfortable bringing. And tell us what location are you going to recommend? No matter which community it impacts.
What are the next steps?
Why weren't the sex workers on trial today? Where were the escorts? Stop, bro.
All right, come on, man. These niggas fucking up the interview. I see why they clipped that shit out, man. What the fuck is y'all doing, man? We trying to get real information. Y'all up that bitch playing. Stupid motherfuckers, man. So let me show y'all what happened at court, y'all. If you ain't already see. That judge is on some bullshit. Yeah, they messed the interview up. Fucking shit up, man. One question at a time, bitch.
Interrupt. I want to let you know, Judge Subramanian is back. He has begun officially delivering his sentence. He says to the court, he says to Sean Combs, at the outset, I want you to understand, Mr. Combs, you are not being sentenced for acquitted conduct. So he's not being sentenced for racketeering. He's not being sentenced for sex trafficking. But under 3553, which, by the way, is the federal statute regarding imposition of a sentence, under 3553, I must consider many things. Mr. Combs, you are a self-made artist who has inspired community of color. Okay, so we're stopping right there. We're waiting for these updates to come in real time. Serena, does that, I'm going to tell you, there's a but, right? Yes, you've done many things, but, and that might not be good for Sean Combs.
When a judge gives any sort of remarks like that, there's always a but. And when you start hearing good things, be prepared for the flip side because it's coming. And I will say to your earlier comments about turning life around, this is a very different type of crime than your typical one-day event. You know, yes, he was a great guy in certain other aspects of his life, perhaps, but he was living a lifestyle of these crimes. It's very different from a defendant who appears in front of a judge who had one bad day, right? Robbed one person, got into a fight with one person and stabbed that person. This was a lifestyle.
Okay, another update. Judge says, we saw the video. The free game course in the MDC, the court hopes you continue to expand it. You are devoted to your family. The court, of course, considers the collateral consequences. The court has to consider all of your history here. And when that's true, by the way, the factors to be considered in imposing a sentence are I'm looking at the statute, the nature and circumstances of the offense, the history and characteristics of the defendant, the need for the sentence to be imposed, the kinds of sentences available, the kind of sentence and the sentencing range, any pertinent policy statement, the need to avoid unwarranted sentence disparities among defendants. So, just looking for an update here. Okay. A history of good works can't wash away the record in this case. You abused these women. You used that abuse to get your way. Freak-offs and hotel nights. The evidence of the abuse is massive. I was sitting right here during the testimony. Joe, this isn't good for Sean Combs.
No, it's not good for Sean Combs because he started off with good stuff and he says, but on the other hand, You know what I mean? Because to my mind, I mean, it could be different, but a lot of times you start off with the part, not with the part that you're going to end with. You know what I mean? Here's the good news, but here's the bad news, and here we are because of the bad news, as opposed to here's the bad news.
That is the reality of what happened. These offenses irreparably harmed 2 women. You plied them with drugs. Why did it happen so long?
Look, yo, all of this shit, that's what I'm saying. Like, all of the things that he's mentioning, yo, that's not what he got. So, like, oh, this is crazy, y'all. This is bullshit. It's bullshit.
Love in the world for his children, and he can be. All right, let's hear that update, Jesse.
Sierra, I'm going to throw it right back to you, but this is the judge. This was subjugation. That is the reality of what happened. These offenses irreparably harmed 2 women. You plied them with drugs. Why did it happen so long? You had the power and resources to keep it going. You were more than a John. Again, Sierra, it was the idea of this happened so many times. I said
they wanted
that
it.
was something the judge was going to consider here.
This is crazy, yo. So he just disregarded all the times they asked for it. Just disregard the fact that they had sex with these sex workers without Diddy. None of that shit matters. Like, man, this guy's crazy. Somebody needs to slap Judge Submarinian for being a bitch.
And what he said very specifically is that I was sitting right here. I heard the testimony. And I think that is what is so vital when we were talking about the way that the judge was going to end up with all of this sentencing, is the fact that it wasn't today he decided it. It wasn't in the 3 months that he had to go through and read all of those letters. No, it was when he was sitting there in the courtroom, seeing Cassie and Jane and Mia and all of the testimony there, that this happened over and over again. It wasn't, to your point.
Yo, so that's why I said, yo, basically, yo, Diddy got sentenced for crimes that he beat. That's what happened, yo. He got sentenced for crimes that he beat. He wasn't sentenced for transporting prostitutes. What's up, cuz? He wasn't sentenced for transporting prostitutes. No, hell no, because you can't justify giving him 4 years for that. He wasn't sentenced for consensual sex. Yo, Diddy was sentenced for domestic violence, man. That's what he was sentenced for. Domestic abuse. But that wasn't what the case was supposed to be about. He wasn't charged with none of that.
This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a pattern of abuse that the prosecution put on and displayed, and then here we have a conviction. And so I do think that all of this is kind of running through Judge Arun Submarinian's mind as he's coming forth, putting down this sentence, because, I mean, it's really hard to ignore.
All right, Judge, this just came in. A significant sentence is required to deter. You say you're sorry and you won't do it again. After Miss Ventura's civil lawsuit was filed, after the video was public, an investigation started. You had a brutal hotel night with Jane, punched her in the head.
Yo, she set him up. Yo, the feds set him up. Like, just right, man, fuck him, man. Yo, how can you explain that, right? You explain, all right, Diddy had a domestic violence situation with Cassie for however many years, right? I'm not co-signing that shit. You feel me? But years later, he gets with Jane, Diddy baby mother. 50 baby mother. Ain't have no issues, no fights, nothing abusive. You mean he never put hands on this girl. This girl talks to this after Cassie lawsuit. This girl talks to the federal government. Had an interview with the federal government. I don't know how long after this interview, but her and Diddy is together. She calls Diddy a pedophile. Pedophile. Tells Diddy, you sex trafficked me. Hits him. And the whole fight started. And now they are highlighting this shit as one of the key contributors as to why he's getting this time. That to me sound like that was coerced. It sound like to me, based off I know how dirty they is. So that's the thing, yo, these law people will never tell you this part of the story. Because they want to keep this part of the story hidden. You know what I mean? Based off of how dirty they is, they told her to do that, man. They told her to do it. And she went up there, did it, took pictures of it, took videos of it, and sent it to the federal government. And now they're using this like, oh, no, look what he did to her. Man, that shit was concocted, man. Yeah, the case was corrupt. That shit was concocted by the federal government, man.
is the key here. That is something we have talked about.
See, that's
during
why I
the
don't
course of
watch
the
none
day.
of these legal people. You know, because I you can't blow smoke on my ass. I know what I mean, because they still want to keep their license in good standing. So they only gonna go but so far. They ain't gonna tell you how dirty their system is and the things that they do. No, they ain't gonna do. We just watched it with Kyren Lacy lawyer. I mean, I'm not saying it was intentional shit. I am. It was very intentional. Everything they fucking do is intentional. Thanks,
It
Queen.
didn't deter him. There were significant episodes that came out after the investigation, after the apology. He was arrested with materials in his hotel room that would indicate a freak off. I think we're looking here at maybe 5 to 7. I don't know yet. What can happen any second, but I think we're looking at significant prison time here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the judge makes an incredible note that, you know, you've had the chance to deter. You were not deterred. You were given an opportunity over and over again, specifically during the investigation, and you can't be stopped. And if you can't be stopped, I'm going to have to be the one to stop you.
Yep. And by the way, the judge has considered his history. He said about the fact that, he became Sean Combs after his father died. That is especially impressive given the early violent death of your father and the trauma that must have left. So he's appreciating all this, but at the same time, he's hitting all of the factors, and he's talking about the evidence that came out during the course of this trial. He just said, Jane says he told her, take this pill, go out there, bleep his bleep him, I don't care. The court is not convinced this would not happen again. The court has considered the programs. They are outweighed by the trial record in this case. Now I'm wondering here, Joe, are we talking double digits?
Look at these motherfuckers. These stupid ass niggas. I only watch these guys for information. I can care less about their breakdown. Like their breakdowns are never right. Like niggas ain't no shit. They supposed to all be legal people.
I'm not sentencing you on racketeering or sex. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Exploitation and violence against women must be met with real accountability to promote respect for the law. Okay? Hold on 1 second. I'm getting the
crazy,
sentence
yo.
right.
Yo, he wasn't found guilty of none of this shit. Yo, like, I just be glad people see this, though, yo. So that people can stop praising this fucking system, man. But the problem is people see it and still ignore it. People think this is justified. People don't think nothing wrong with this because it's Diddy. He's a monster. Yo, but this was wrong, man. This was wrong. The man beat them charges and they still sentenced him like he got found guilty of them.
Right now. Okay, here we go. Oh, boy.
I'm sweating.
Exploitation and violence against women must be met with real accountability to promote respect for the law. The court reaches a few conclusions. 135 months would be more than necessary. Now, I don't know if that means that that's the actual sentence right now, but 135 months is over 11 years in prison. So over 11 years in prison would be more than necessary. That's what the judge is saying here, Serena. I don't know if that's the official sentence as of yet. We're waiting to get confirmation about that. But what does that say?
Well, just to throw that number out there like that means that at least he was considering the 11 years that the prosecution put forth, and maybe
He's
even
on the motherfucking Doug and Pony show, bitch.
Not to go lower than the 5 to 7 range. So that may have been the benefit, but I'm wondering if 7 years is what we might be looking at. Again, I'm waiting for official confirmation on the sentence here, Sierra.
I think that is possible here, that maybe he's saying, okay, yes, the prosecution, the government brought forward this number of 11 years. Yeah, that is more.
So he has rejected the defense's recommendation of 14 months. In other words, Diddy is not getting out of prison. He is not getting out of prison today. When he would, we're waiting. I'm not, it's not like I have these updates and I'm purposely delaying. I'm getting to them in real time as we are getting them. Sierra? So again, we're now looking at between 14 months and 11 years. But I guess, again, going back to this idea of we're looking at 7.
In place. And it sounds like even though the judge
right? The defense put forward that motion says,
yeah, that's warranted. I mean,
of incarceration, so 4 years in prison, than what the range was of 5 to 7 years, Sierra. Weighing all of the relevant factors, the court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration. So 50 months of incarceration is a little over 4 years. It's 4.16 years in prison. Now, that is a bit lower than what the range was of 5 to 7 years, Sierra. Let's start there. If I'm reading this correct,
let's say he's not eligible for the programs because of the violence. So one thing I know about, well, I don't know if the federal government system is the same way, but I know it's like that with DOC. Like the courts say you're eligible for one thing, but then you go through DOC. So in the courts it might be a non-violent case, but you go through DOC and they might consider it violent. So the judge be like, oh yeah, you're eligible for this program. Then you get in the DOC and they be like, man, hell no, that shit violent. It's just a fucked up system, man. What's up? What's up? I just wanted to show y'all what happened, and I don't want to see that shit no more. Yo, this is a dirty system, man. I just wanted to show y'all that Diddy wasn't found guilty or wasn't sentenced based off of sex trafficking. Like they literally sentenced that man for domestic violence, man, domestic abuse. Not even just the violence, just the whole abuse aspect. They made it seem like them women didn't have a choice. Even with one of the other girls that supposedly went through the same type of situations as far as being involved in free calls, victim. We read that in the other lie. She's like, I wasn't no victim. They was trying to force me to believe I was a victim, but I kept telling them I wasn't no victim. Oh yeah, he said Jane Dale. We might gotta go through Jane Dale later on. We probably go live in a couple hours. What time is it? 4:56. Fuck around, go live at 7, man. See what the fuck Jane Dale talk about. Mr. Motherfucker blow the light. Mr. Blow the light. What he was talking about? He was talking about, Ray. Is he still? Is he taking accountability for the death of Biggie? If he ain't taking accountability for the death of Biggie, I ain't interested. If he ain't get on that bitch and apologize to Notorious B.I.G.'s family and friends for being for being tasked with the with being the head of security, and Biggie dying on his watch and he ain't shooting no shots, all he did was blow the light, then I don't want to hear that shit. That's the only thing I want to hear from Jane Dale. But we gonna check it out though. We gotta go through that 6ix9ine interview too, yo. That bitch lying. Did he say that right? Did he apologize to the Wireless family for blowing the light and not shooting no shots? That's what he need to do. Oh. Yo, but yeah, that Diddy situation fucked up, y'all, and people should be upset. But I know people don't care because it's Diddy. A similar to justice. Man. And then that's another thing too, right? That's another thing too. They always try to make it seem like, oh, he gotta stay in jail, like he never gonna come home. Like keeping him in jail for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ain't going. If he want revenge, you want revenge. You feel it don't matter. You keeping that bitch for 10 years. I done seen situations where motherfucker did 10 years in prison and came home and killed the person that put him there after 10 years. You understand what I'm saying? So it wouldn't make a difference if Diddy was released today, yesterday, next week, next year, 3 years down the line. If he want revenge, yo, that's what he's gonna do, yo. He ain't like he got life. Now, if it was life on, if life was on the line as a sentence, then you know it makes sense. But being as though he never was facing life, well, he was facing life, but he wasn't sentenced or found guilty on any of the counts that could have gave him life, then that argument that Cassian was making was irrelevant. It was irrelevant. I feel he's gonna come and get me. Well, he might just come and get you next year. You feel me? Like if that's your legitimate fear, if that's what you think he's gonna do, all right, he can't get you tomorrow. He'll be back 2-3 years. He'll get you then. Like it just doesn't make sense. But I know Tisa Towers happy, man. She was this close to the freak off, y'all. We was this close of the Diddy and Tisa Towers freak off live streamed on Twitter. Now it's postponed, y'all. I got to reach back out to my sources to see when the next date. Yeah, once Diddy come out. I got to reach back out to my sources, man. See what the fuck going on, man. Make sure is there extension on the contract. Yeah, man. We gonna get at that freak off. I know she was on that bitch happy as a motherfucker, like she was right. Still lied the whole trial. So he's 11 years. I knew 11 years wasn't the question. Straight up. 11 years would have been crazy. That would have been crazy if they gave a man 11 years for that. But I think ultimately that was a safe sentence. Like I said, it was less than 5, more than the 3 I was expecting. He went right in the middle of 4. I still think he was over sentenced, but it's not going to get meet with as much scrutiny as it probably should, being as though it's only 4 years and he got 14 months in. Oh yeah, man. They want because they the ones push the narrative too. Yeah, they the want to push the narrative. I just want people to pay attention, y'all. Like I said, if it's anything to learn from this whole Diddy situation, is why even the Kyren Lacy situation, the media lies, man. The media lies, yo. That's why I always tell y'all. That's why they gotta have their own YouTubers. You know what I mean? They gotta have their own YouTubers, their own TikTokers, their own people on Instagram. They gotta have their own, so they can keep the lie going. I mean, if they had too many people like me speaking, then they might lose control of the narrative, and that can be dangerous. At least that's how they look at it. They lose control of the narrative, and we're not able to dictate. That's dangerous now. These people might actually find out the truth. We don't want that to happen. You know what I mean? The truth is dangerous, man. People can't accept it. But we're gonna go live again at 7. Yeah, we're gonna go live again at 7. We're gonna tap in that jail shit. Yeah, man, that's what they do. They gonna find a way, yo. Like it's almost every federal case that we done. Like they make it so hard to beat them, and it's not because they got great prosecutors. Like we gotta nip that, get rid of that narrative, because that's how people make it seem. It's because they dirty, man. They dirty, yo. That's why you don't praise them, man, for the dirty tactics that they use. They ran up in Diddy's cell, stole all his court information, took pictures of it, used it against him at a bail hearing. Did the same shit to R. Kelly, where they reached out to the Ezreal Clary girl and told the girl that R. Kelly was talking to another girl. Then got a federal informant to meet up with this girl so she can see the motherfucking video, the audio of it. Now she was on R. Kelly's side. Now she turned to fucking federal witness. Like, all this shit is illegal, but they get away with it. And partly the reason they get away with it is because the people allow it. We don't say nothing. We don't say nothing. One of the things I always tell y'all when it comes down to black people, if I can convince you that these people is dangerous, then I can step on them in court. And they go unnoticed. And that's what the fuck they've been doing. If I can convince you that these people are a danger and they are a threat and they deserve jail, I can pull this move on Kyren Lacy. Does that make sense to people? If I can convince you that these people are a problem, then I can charge Kyren Lacy with a motherfucking vehicular homicide that he ain't had nothing to do with. And people gonna believe it. Just based off the image that we portrayed of these people. That's why I say, you kill them in court, you kill them in public opinion, you kill them in court. That's the game plan right now. The feds and the police are playing a social media game. But the problem is, we don't know who's organic. So we go to some of these bloggers thinking that we gonna get, the truth, but they giving you the version of events that the agenda is. Mainstream media pushing. Dirty. But are you talking about Shorty good at what she do, man. She good at swaying the narrative. That's what she does. She's not interested in the truth though. I mean, I never take away from what she do. Tisa Towers is very good at what she do. She's good at swaying the narrative, But I'm into the truth. Yes, that's all it was, man. Yeah, but that's the thing, yo. They charge him for domestic violence, man. Like they really charged that man. Now it makes sense why that's what the whole case was about. You know what I mean? Remember when we was trying to figure out like, yo, why they keep talking about domestic violence and the case is about sex trafficking? Now it makes sense. You know, they wanted to highlight that domestic violence shit, and that's what the judge sentenced them based off domestic violence. You know what I mean? It's fucked up. Yo, but 7 o'clock, yo, 2 more hours, we be live again. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's another day of Keeping G News.